I'm here in the shop today and I've been working on my Kibler Longrifles Southern Mountain Rifle kit. So to start today, I'm to the point now with my kit, and I'm looking at it here where I'm into kind of stock cleanup now. The Kibler kits come with some very light machining and tooling marks in the stock that we just want to get rid of and really even out the surface of our stock. It can kind of be mistaken, I think, as curl in the grain. As you can see here, we just have some even ribs going all the way through. And when you feel it, I know you guys watching can't feel the wood like I am here, but when I feel it, I can really feel those indentations. So what I'm going to be doing to get rid of these marks and even out the stock to prepare it for oil and stain is I'm going to be taking a medium coarseness file and I'm going to be working my way from the wrist or butt area of the rifle to the muzzle. You don't need a whole lot of force when doing this. I'm just letting the file rest on the wood and it's working my way around the curves to get rid of those marks. Now, something to keep in mind here is I thought when I got started to just use some sandpaper because I didn't want to remove a whole lot of wood, but I found that the sandpaper wasn't cutting through the tooling marks. It was resting on top and just continually working those tool marks from the Kibler machining into the stock. And so by getting into one of these, medium coarseness files, I'm able to come along here and actually remove those tooling marks and clean up the stock. Like I said, I'm not applying any force really at all. I'm just kind of letting gravity in my hands rest the file to the stock. And I'm working my way down. I've got my file held at an angle here, just like when we talked about with draw filing the barrel. This gives me more surface area on the wood. It makes me more efficient as I'm working. The stock I'm working is cherry, and so it's a little hard, and I notice that it'll gum up this fine file every now and then. So it's good to have a file card with you to clean this out so you can keep working. You'll notice that I try to work equally along this bottom face and bring my file up around this curve and start working that stock as it wraps around towards the barrel channel. This stock is so thin, I don't want to take the barrel out when I'm doing this. I don't want this to flex any more than it has to, just because it is so thin and kind of fragile, really. So the face that I'm working that wraps around here to the barrel, I'm staying clear of that barrel because I don't want my file to mess up any of the fine edges that we have on this barrel. I want to maintain the barrel shape and the barrel lines. And so what I'm going to do up here is I'll come in with a nice flat file like this with some coarse sandpaper, and I'll work that channel or work where the stock goes into the barrel channel. By having this hard file as a backer on the sandpaper, I'm able to cut through those tooling marks much easier than like I talked about if I was just trying to do this on my stock. I've got my fingers here, and my fingers don't apply an even pressure across the sandpaper, so that sandpaper is just going to go up and down with the waves. So you can see here where these tool marks from when the stock was shaped are still a little bit visible, and this file is going to turn this surface that we see here into this surface over here on the left, and just continue to clean that out and just keep evening up our stock so we can get ready for stain and for finish. This really doesn't take too long. I think at least on the fore end of the stock here, as long as you're being slow and careful, probably 15-20 minutes a side. It takes a little bit longer going around the space of the entry pipe. That's because you have some more shape changes and plane changes there. But all in all, this is a lot like the rest of the kit, where it's really not too bad. It's a well I mean, everybody knows it's a well-designed kit. But it's a really, really good practice tool, I think. I'm probably heard me say it a lot with this build. It's just a very impressive thing to work with and work on. I'm making sure that when I'm doing this with my sandpaper that I'm folding the sandpaper all the way around the file, just to make sure that I'm not scratching or sanding any of this hard line that we have here on the barrel away. We want to keep those lines intact, so we want to protect those when we're doing something like this. And this is something I could probably go back in and do and work on with the barrel out, as long as I was careful. But if you got one of these, or if you're working on one of these Southern Mountain Rifles in a small of a caliber as the 40 like I have, and I imagine the calibers that are smaller yet, are it's pretty nerve-wracking to have the barrel out of there and to do anything with the stock. As I approach these curves, kind of around where the side plate area, I just get up as close as I can before that file starts to ride up that curve, and then I stop. And I'll go back in there with sandpaper or a round or half round file, the same, texture, the same abrasiveness as this file, to go in there and clean that up. Now, when I'm starting, I don't want to use, like I said earlier, just sandpaper backed by my fingers. Backing that sandpaper with that file is what we want to do going around those curves, so we can maintain the lines that Kibler has already cut in here for us. You can see here my stock has some lines in it at this point. I believe this is just from where a tool comes in and cleans up this face. So just the same thing that we did up here on the fore end of the stock. We're just going to file this away until those lines disappear. I'm not too worried about taking away too much material here. Like I said, I'm using kind of a medium to fine file, and we just want those lines and those marks to disappear. After the filing, depending on the finish that you're looking for, you can come in with some card scrapers and put some facets back into your stock if you want to make it feel like this is something that you've worked out of a raw stock blank. It's nothing that you need to do. That's just another technique that you can add in to give it a little bit more of that personal touch, and kind of fake in try to fake in that maybe you put it together and it wasn't one of Kibler's kits, where, a lot of people talk about there's not a whole lot of work to do on these, but really there still is, and it's still nice having a nice long rifle at the end of the process here. And I think for me, looking at it as an intermediary between the Traditions kit, which there's really no room for personalization on, and it's a really basic kit, it's an affordable kit, but taking the step up to one of these Kibler kits, I'm going to have a much nicer muzzleloader at the end of it, a different style muzzleloader than anything that Traditions or Pedersoli offers. And it offers a nice middle ground, middle of the road space for me to experiment and try this out more before I get into, maybe ordering a Chambers kit or a kit from Tracky the Wolf or Dixie Gun Works, or haphazardly getting parts together and trying to go that route of building my own just totally from a blank.